La 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 Adam's little vlog.
Tally ho, everybody! This is a Heap of Games. I'm speaking. I'm here to do the episode 5 Robot Wars review. Not as good as the last 2 episodes. It was alright. Some good robots in there, some interesting ones. You had ones like Gabriel, which was probably my favourite. You had returning ones such as Thermidor 2 and Chompalot, but they both went out pretty early. Thermidor 2 particularly was a bit of a... was underwhelming in its return. It got knocked out within, I don't know, about 20 seconds. Chompalot it's only happened once so far in this competition. It's gone through to the next round and then decided, no, actually, we're too broken. We're not worthy. Speaking of that, the guy from Chompalot looks a bit like Wayne from Wayne's World. We're not worthy. Oh, I really should watch that film again. But Chompalot, Wayne from Wayne's World went out early, so Pulsar came back into it. Now, Pulsar have been incredibly lucky. I don't think they should be where they are now in the grand final, because they got knocked out in the first round. Chompalot gave up, so that was lucky for Pulsar because they went through, even though both they and Thermidor did very little in the original fight. I think it's simply because Pulsar lasted a bit longer. So Pulsar got lucky there. In its first league battle, it was against Beast, I believe, and it actually did well there. You know, it deserved to go through that one. It did well in that battle. Beast was, let's face it, it just wouldn't work. But then against, who was it against? It was against Ironside 3, who is the team that built... I keep messing with this thing. I'm not sure if it's coming to the microphone. I should stop that, really. But they're the team that originally did Velocirripa, which was one of my favourite robots back in the day. And Ironside 3 against Pulsar. Bit of controversy. Quite a lot of controversy, actually. Because the hit bang... As the guy from Pulsar said would happen, it would either go that bang or that bang. And it went bang. And Ironside was upside down for a while. Then it got pushed against the wall and Sir Killalot put it back onto its wheels. Now, Caesar wasn't called, but they said that it had been immobilised for over 10 seconds. And then... and then Ironside comes back in, and Pulsar's broken. And Ironside pushes Pulsar into the pit. Granted, it fell in itself. Bad driving, but still, it had pushed Pulsar in the pit first. So, I mean, I'm not sure how much they cut out of the editing at the part where Ironside was upside down. But it didn't get much chance to self-right. Maybe it had been upside down for 10 seconds, in which case I understand that it would have gone out, but nothing was mentioned by Jonathan Pierce, or no cease was called, or anything like that. So that strikes me as a bit strange. I thought, given what we saw on TV, with the editing and all that, it looked like Ironside should have been it. Because it was right by Sir Killalot, and at that stage it was still moving, no cease had been called, nothing had been said, and Pulsar broke down and got pitted. So, again, extremely fortunate in my opinion to get through that. So it's been fortunate to get through the first round. It didn't get through the first round. It got fortunate to be called back in after the first round. It got fortunate to be Ironside and hence enter the Heat final. Where, again, incredibly fortunate, because it was a very, very tight battle. Both robots receiving superficial damage. And that's a word I like to use, superficial, because, yeah, it got some good attacks in on Gabriel, but the damage was superficial, no real damage. And Gabriel didn't really do any real damage to Pulsar either. But I think there were 3 occasions where Pulsar stopped for quite a long period of time. I'm not sure how long. Apparently it wasn't 10 seconds, because else it would have been out, apparently. So Pulsar lost control. And that's one of the key parts of the judges' decisions, whether a robot's control. So I think that should have played in. It lost control of the robot 3 times during that battle, and I think Gabriel should have gone ahead and won that one. So, in all 3 rounds, I think Pulsar is incredibly lucky. In each of those rounds, incredibly lucky. So, fair play to it. I mean, if it goes and performs well in the final, then it's a worthy place. But at the moment, I don't think it was deserved. I mean, a good robot. I like it. It's a nice little weapon, but too much luck there. I don't think it really warranted a place in the grand final. So who have we got in the grand final? We've got Carbide, Shockwave, TR2, Apollo and Pulsar. And a wild card. As for the wild card, we've got a choice between Behemoth, Thor, Dan Tomkia, Storm 2 and Gabriel. Now, automatically, 3 of those I don't think are worthy. Thor, Dan Tomkia, Storm 2. Storm 2 was boring. Dan Tomkia, bit dull as well. Thor, I just don't think was very effective and, again, a bit boring. Behemoth, I've always loved. And Gabriel, I thought was very unlucky not to get to the grand final. I don't know how they decide which ones go through. But if it's how they performed in the Heat final, then you'd have to give it to Gabriel because it went to a judge's decision. So my money's on Gabriel to go through. Not only that, but it gives it a bit more it gives a bit more variety in the grand final because Gabriel is quite an unusual robot, and we've already got a spinner, a pusher, a flipper, another flipper, and another spinner. So to have something like Gabriel, we add a bit of variety to that grand final. Who do I think is going to win? Well, firstly, I don't know what the format's going to be because every episode up till now has had 8 robots. The final's got 6, so I'm not quite sure how they're going to handle it. So, out of that lot, I think Shockwave would be the first I'd say would go because it was never that great, and I think the heat that it was in was quite a straightforward heat. Out of the 2 flippers, TR2 and Apollo, I'd love to see a TR2 defeat Apollo, and I think it could because Apollo's had its problems, so I think TR2 would win that battle. Pulsar and Carbide, I think Carbide's always going to be a little... Again, Pulsar got incredibly fortunate. I think it's already gone past where it should be. So I think Carbide would win that one. And the wild cards are wild cards because they didn't get to the grand final officially. So I think it's going to be between Carbide and TR2. And unfortunately, I think out of those 2, it's going to be Carbide. I think Carbide is going to win this. I would give official, this is what's going to happen here, here and here, but I don't know the format. I don't know how it's going to work, so I can't really do that. But I'll say, if it comes down to a grand final, I'd say it's going to be Carbide, TR2, and Carbide will win. So that's my brilliant predictions. And then I'll give a whole series-wide review. But my favourite of this episode was probably Gabriel, let down a bit by Thermidor and Chompalot. The other robots were alright. Pulsar was incredibly lucky. Incredibly lucky. And I think that's all you really need to say, apart from the fact that Dead Metal, I've realised again, looks amazing. Dead Metal looks absolutely brilliant. So, this has been my next review. If you want to know anything else about my opinions on whatever else opinions I have on the things that happened, then send me a message. And this has been a heap of games and all that other bull. See you later. I should do it properly. Tally-ho, ta-ra, why do I do this to myself? Ta-ra, toodle-pip, toodaloo, and cheer. Three. Oh. See you later.